child support order?
I'm fine with it. I didn't ever care to mess with it.
You didn't
So
what?
whatever I didn't ever care to change it. He was the one that wanted to change it, but I'm okay with whatever they decide.
The current, and Ms. Looney, the current obligation, if this order is signed, would be for Mr. Gutierrez to pay $1,573 a month for all 5 kids total.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
That breaks down to $314.60 per child per month.
Okay. What's the current payment being made? Do you know?
It is
It's currently $1,240.
that. Yes, I was just looking in my file, and it is $1,240 at this point, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Gutierrez, what is your statement you want to make to the court about the proposed child support order from the state?
I don't know. I think it should be less, a lot less, so that I can afford to eat. I can afford to live. I can afford to get to work and back. I mean, instead of, it should be cut in half if you ask me. Instead of $300 per child, I mean, for me to be able to comfortably afford a place to live and a place to have, so that maybe whenever I get my visitation back, to have my kids with me, it should be cut in half, maybe like 150, 160 per child, just so I can get up on my feet and start getting my own place and start having a real visitation time with them.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do, having reviewed the child support issue as well as the adequate cause motion from you, Mr. Gutierrez, to increase visitation. So first on the the parenting plan / your request for 50-50 custody, I'm going to reserve ruling on that just until I am going to replace the requirement on you that whoever, whether it's your Kaiser substance abuse counselor or whether you need to go get a new one, the prior judicial officer's ruling that they had to accept input from GAL and from Alyssa needs to happen. And the reason is very specific. So often in cases where perhaps, let's say criminal cases, where there's an allegation that someone has abused or is abusing alcohol, often we say, hey, get a substance abuse evaluation. The police report must be provided to the counselor. And the reason we do that is so that the recommendation is not just based on what the person is reporting to the counselor. I'm not saying that this is present in your case, but sometimes people will downplay their level of use of substances. And that's often a part of a substance use disorder. So in this case, because we don't necessarily have those other objective things for the counselor to look at, I am replacing the requirement that whoever does the evaluation that this court accepts must accept collateral input from the GAL and Alyssa. And then at that point, I will reconsider your adequate cause motion. I hear Ms. Gutierrez stating that she wants supervised visitation between you and the kids. Is that something that you're open to currently, Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes, I would. The problem is, like I keep saying about my, as far as income goes, I mean, I can't afford to drive from Portland. I work by the Portland airport, and I can't afford to drive from Portland to Longview every day. Well, not with the car that I'm driving right now. I can't afford that. It costs me like $100 every 4 days to do that. So, you know, as far as visitation, I mean, income is a big factor here for me. I'm really struggling with.
Okay.
It feels like I'm just working for nothing.
Okay, so it sounds like supervised visitation wouldn't be financially feasible for you right now.
I mean, I could work with that, but I mean, I would have to, I don't know, I guess use credit cards or something to be able to afford it.
Okay, what I'm gonna put in my bench order is that, Mr. Lawrence, how would you typically word the supervised visitation allowance that we're gonna do temporarily pending a substance abuse evaluation?
Well, that verbiage is fine. I would use the term that the supervisor be somebody that can be mutually agreed upon by the parties.
Okay. Do the two of you have a third party that you would both trust to do supervised visits?
The hours that he would be allowed to visit them while I'm still at work, they'd be with my aunt, who's also certified through the state to take care of them. And she's okay with that, and she's always been a mutual party.
And what's your aunt's name?
Sabrina Valencia.
How do you spell the last name?
Valencia.
Okay. And then when Ms. Gutierrez, do you want to put specific days and times on supervised visitation, or what is your request?
Monday through Friday is fine, and then he can see them after work until about 6 p.m. is when I get them from her.
So he could coordinate his visitation directly with Sabrina?
Yeah, she's totally fine with that. And I understand that he probably won't be able to make it every day. I just want it to be available for him so that if he can, he can.
Okay.
I know that his mom has mentioned that she's willing to help him if getting gas is an issue, she's willing to help him with that.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to do temporarily, Mr. Gutierrez, on visitation until we are able to get a substance abuse evaluation that meets the court's criteria. So I'll do a bench order to that effect. I am going to find adequate cause to modify or re-review the child support order based on the mutual parties request. I do find the state's order as proposed comports with the income that the parties have reported. So I am signing that child support order today.
Your Honor,
wait.
Oh,
we did leave in the, Your Honor, I apologize. We did leave in the
Okay.
deviations section because it appeared that Mr. Gutierrez may have additional information he wanted to share. And I don't know if Your Honor wanted to ask you more questions about that. If you are going to decline granting a deviation, we would just ask that it be marked no and that there was no good reason to approve the deviation requested.
And I do see that on page 2, and I'm just
Yes.
looking to see.
It goes over to page 3 as well.
And into 3, okay. So Mr. Gutierrez, you have indicated, so this new child support order based on your actual income from your pay stubs would put your total support obligation at $1,573 a month. You have asked, I believe that you are asking for the court to deviate from that standard calculation. Is that correct?
Yeah, I like I said, I think child support should be half that because
Why?
I need be like I keep saying, I mean, I would like to be able to afford a place, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom to live and have my kids over whenever I get my visitation time back.
Well,
So have my kids and
so what
you know,
I'm specifically asking you though is about why you can't afford that money based on your income. Do you tell me about your other household expenses? Tell me about where your other money goes. What is it that causes you to tell me you can't afford $300 per kid?
well, as of right now, before Alyssa and I separated, she took it on herself to put three of my kids' phone on my phone plan. So I'm paying for three. I have been paying for three of my kids' phones so that I can be in touch with them. Before Alyssa and I separated, there was a personal loan for $5,000 that I took out for car repairs on the car that she kept. And I'm still having to pay on that too. And there's also
How much do
um
you, how much do you pay on that?
on the personal loan,
Yes,
it's $240.
per month.
Yes.
Okay. Any other extraordinary debt that you're paying on?
There's credit cards that I have to use, and there's also I try to explain this to the child support people. There's also during the months of October, November, and December of 2022, I did not give Alyssa a child support check because she was behind on bills. So instead of paying her the child support check, I paid the mortgage for those 3 months. So according to the child support intel people, they don't care about that. So I'm still being charged for those 3 months for back child support when I paid the mortgage. I made the mortgage payment instead of paying Alyssa child support check. So I'm still being charged for that back child support, and now I'm like between the cell phones, a personal loan, and credit cards. I'm struggling to keep up.
Okay. So I am declining to do any deviation. I find that 314 per child is exceedingly fair given your income. I think the other reasons you've given me are based on you essentially wanting it cut in half, which is not fair to the parent
Well,
who's, hold on, I'm not done with my ruling, sir, which is not financially fair to the parent who is primarily supporting the children. But also the debts that you are discussing with me, I am finding were voluntarily incurred and not unexpected or extraordinary expenses. So I am signing the child support order as proposed by the state. I will have to do an order granting the adequate cause based on the request of the parties for that, and I will get that done today as well.
okay, so
let's set a review date. I'm going to hand those up. Let's set a review date for the adequate cause motion on the parenting plan. Certainly, how long, Mr. Gutierrez, do you think you will need to either get a new evaluation that will accept input from the GAL and Alyssa, or talk to your Kaiser counselor about accepting that input?
So, can I ask something really quick about that? Do I need to go get a new counselor? Because that's going to take more time if I need to go find a new counselor.
If your Kaiser counselor won't accept the court's requirement that she or he take input from the GAL and from Alyssa, then yes, you would need to get a new counselor or new evaluation, excuse me.
I don't know.
All right, then if you don't know, let's set this to December 13 at 9 a.m. if that works for you, Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, it does. I just had one other question for you.
Go ahead.
Is there any way for me to be able to have any type of communication with him? Like, is there like an app that can be monitored? Because the state put in a protection order. He's not allowed to contact me because he was charged with domestic violence.
Right.
So right now it's like he can only call the kids' phones. And it's kind of hard.
For coordinating stuff about the kids?
Yeah.
Would Sabrina be willing to kind of be a go-between? I could put in my,
Yeah.
well, let me
That would work.
let me rethink that. I might not be the proper venue for you to request that. If you're telling me there's
Okay.
if there's a criminal no contact order in place,
Yeah.
you'll need to seek a modification that allows third party contact through the prosecutor's office
Okay.
handling that case. So I would encourage you to do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll see the parties back on December 13th at 9 a.m.
So
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Gutierrez, I need to wrap this case up.
I'm just gonna, maybe a stupid question, but so you're gonna make my child support get higher, get out, like pay more, basically.
Yes, your child support obligation is $314 per kid. Yes.
Okay, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you back on the 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you.